Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Triple Double Nation. Today we're looking at 13 perfect off-season trade targets for NBA teams. Let's get right into the video. Atlanta Hawks G. Marcus Smart. The Hawks don't need to be on the hunt for a superstar, but rather players who fit in well beside franchise player Trae Young as they continue their ascent to the top of the East. While Young is already one of the league's best defensive threats, his physical limitations mean he'll probably always be a lousy defender who opponents seek to attack. Putting Smart on the floor next to Young allows a two-time all-defensive team member to take on the toughest assignment every night. This means less strain on Young to defend, letting him focus his efforts on carrying his offense. Smart's also become a better scorer and ball handler with time, averaging career highs with 13.1 points and 5.7 assists this season. Chicago Bulls PG Lonzo Ball. The Bulls were interested in trading for Ball before the deadline, offering Thomas Satoransky and second-round picks per Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer. While that offer clearly wasn't enough, the two sides could still work out a sign-and-trade agreement with Ball now going into restricted free agency. With Colby White looking more like a scoring guard than a true floor general, Ball could fill that role for the Bulls while setting the table for guys like Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, White, and Patrick Williams. Finding a salary that works for everyone is the first step, and then working out a deal that brings something back to New Orleans Pelicans in return makes this a tricky but not impossible scenario. Dallas Mavericks SG CJ McCollum. McCollum has proven to be an ideal number 2 offensive option as he's coming off a career year with averages of 23.1 points, 3.9 rebounds, 4.7 assists, and a 40.2% mark from 3. The 29-year-old also registered the lowest turnover percentage of his career. A backcourt of Luka Doncic and McCollum would be one of the NBA's best, with both able to play on or off the ball and put pressure on the opposing defenses. With current starting shooting guard Tim Hardaway Jr. set to become a free agent, the Mavericks could very well be in the market for help on the wing. Los Angeles Lakers PG Russell Westbrook. The Lakers simply couldn't survive an injury to Anthony Davis in the postseason, and LeBron James finally began to show his age this year with his own injuries. LA could use a third star as an insurance for both, but don't have the necessary draft picks or young talent to acquire one. Westbrook could be the exception, especially if the Washington Wizards simply want to get off his 2-year, $91.3 million contract should they eventually trade Bradley Beal. The contracts of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and other player option of Montrezl Harrell would be enough to match salaries, and the Lakers own some future second-rounders they could throw in if needed. Putting some shooters around Okoro, James, Davis, and Westbrook would make the Lakers a championship-level team once again. Memphis Grizzlies FC Domantas Sabonis. Finding a third star to complement Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. should be the goal of Memphis. While there's plenty of other young talent on the roster and none look like a future all-star, Sabonis would be a dream target, one of the NBA's best passing big men who could take over the startup center job for Jonas Valanciunas, a free agent next year. A two-time All-Star, Sabonis is still just 25, so he fits the timeline of the rest of the young Grizzlies. He'd be worth trading Valanciunas and some of the team's young talent and picks, especially considering his contract runs till 2024. While it's highly unlikely the Pacers would part with Sabonis, the Grizzlies have a good amount of assets to give up if Indiana undergoes a mini rebuild. Miami Heat SG Bradley Beal. Failing to trade for another star ultimately doomed the Heat in the playoffs when they were eventually swept by the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round. Waiting for Tyler Herro and others to develop as an option, but Jimmy Butler is going to be 32 before the season starts and carries a lot of wear and tear from his early Chicago Bulls days. Beal is the type of dynamic scorer the Heat need, someone to form a big three with Butler and Bam Adebayo to make another finals run. The 27-year-old finished second in the NBA in scoring this season, to go along with his 4.7 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and 1.2 steals. The threat of him leaving in free agency next year may finally convince the Wizards to trade their star player, with the Heat able to offer a package based around Harrell, Precious Achiuwa, and future draft picks. Minnesota Timberwolves PF Pascal Siakam. Jaden McDaniels is a nice young power forward prospect for Minnesota, but this is a team that needs to win now to keep Karl Anthony Towns happy. Siakam, 27, has already been an all-star starter in his career and would fit nicely beside Towns in the Wolves' front court. The pair were just 2 of 9 total NBA players this season to average at least 21.4 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game. Depending on who they give up for Siakam in return, a lineup of D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley, Siakam, and Towns would finally get the Wolves out of the playoffs, likely behind one of the best offenses in all of basketball. New Orleans Pelicans C. Miles Turner. There is no more perfect trade target in all of basketball than Turner is for the Pelicans. New Orleans was held back by a 23rd ranked defensive last season, and Turner looked like a potential defensive player of the year candidate early in the year. The 25-year-old is the best shot blocker in the entire NBA and is under contract until 2023 at $18 million per year. Turner also gives the Pelicans more spacing than Steven Adams can provide, a career 35.2% shooter from the deep, with Zion Williamson needing driving lanes to unleash hell on the rim. Turner is the perfect partner to share the floor with. New York Knicks SG Zach LaVine. LaVine is likely considered off limits by the Bulls for now, but his impending free agency and an ever possible trade request could change things at any time. If Chicago feels like LaVine will walk in free agency, the Knicks should pounce. LaVine has a type of electric game perfectly suited for Madison Square Garden, and LaVine and RJ Barrett on the wing would become one of the best young duos in the league. At age 26, he finished 7th in the NBA scoring this season, doing so on a career-best 63.4% true shooting. Philadelphia 76ers PG Damian Lillard. The third highest scorer in the NBA at 28.8 points per game, Lillard would be a devastating force playing next to Joel Embiid, the fourth highest scorer. A deal for Lillard would have to cost the Sixers either Ben Simmons or Tobias Harris just to match salaries, and Philly has young players like Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle it could offer as well. Even if Simmons went to Portland in return, a lineup of Lillard, Seth Curry, Thybulle, Harris, and Embiid would provide plenty of scoring, defense, and outside shooting, potentially making Philly the title favorites in the NBA. San Antonio Spurs PF Kristaps Porzingis. The Spurs need front court help if they want to break a 2-year playoff drought, and Porzingis could meet at a cheap price from Dallas. San Antonio has the cap space to take on Porzingis without matching any salary at all, and the 25-year-old power forward fits the young core that's now taken over with DeMar DeRozan, Rudy Gay, and Patty Mills hitting free agency. With Porzingis reportedly frustrated with his limited role in Dallas, Greg Popovich certainly has enough experience with skilled big men to appease the former All-Star. Toronto Raptors see Mo Bamba. The Raptors will almost certainly waive Aaron Baines and his non-guaranteed salary in favor of cap space. Opening up a hole at center, Chris Bouchner was a great player last year, but at 28 and going into free agency next year, the Raptors could use a younger option to go with him. If the Orlando Magic view Wendell Carter Jr. as their franchise guy, Bamba could be available. The 23-year-old center averaged 18.2 points, 13.2 rebounds, and 2.9 blocks per 36 minutes last season, filling up the stat sheet when given an opportunity to play.
Hampton to the baseline, a lob. Bamba with the hook, and he hits it.
They have to fight for the offensive rebound to get the second chance.
Bamba
Number 13, Utah Jazz PF Larry Nance Jr. The Jazz don't need any big changes to the roster that had the best record in the NBA this season, and should only be looking to add high-level rotation players instead. Nance is the perfect role player in today's NBA. He's primarily a power forward but has the versatility to play on the wing and even defensive centers. His 1.7 steals per game would have tied for third most in the NBA had he played enough games to qualify. And Nance is a good scorer, rebounder, defender, and passer who has little overall weakness in his game. Nance would start at power forward for Utah or come off the bench, joining former Los Angeles Lakers and Cleveland Cavaliers teammate Jordan Clarkson.
Irving trying to take a pass, broken up by Nance. Nance, coast to coast.
Larry Nance playing the passing lane.
The deal went off the green. That was read by Larry Nance. The NBA's leader in deflections gets another. Deals to Osmond, lays it up and lays it in. The Cavaliers have an early.
Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like rating down below and comment which team needs to make this trade. See you guys next time. Have a great day.